Okay.
Like when we do a new case, we'll switch.
Okay, recording
I
has
am
started.
Devil's Magic.
All right, comms quiet. I'm going to say knee. You're going to say 2 after I say 1. Got it?
Okay.
All right, perfect. That lined up very well. Thank you. Now we can move on. You didn't even have to say 2. I just needed you to respond to me.
Okay.
I think both of these are the same. No, this
No.
one
I
says
look
2,
forward
15.
to
This one says 2,
the
16.
16.
Yep.
I
Still
look
on me.
forward to
All
these
right.
nights too.
So, who do we got today? Replacing Stray. Introduce yourself. Excellent. Thank you,
Sorry.
Xander.
I was trying to get tips. I'm Xander Bellafair. I will be voicing Apollo. Perfect.
All right. And moving forward, I'm hoping that we can find you another voice, another role.
I am the old man judge.
Oh God, I hope my voice is also loud enough. Fuck.
It is.
Shit.
Yeah.
Mike.
The recording? Yeah.
All right. April 20th,
Cool.
2:32 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3.
Mr. Gown and Mr. Wright are both at the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought today would turn out like this?
Ah, this is Eris's line.
May I?
Oh.
Oh.
Huh? What?
Hello, sir. Please pick a card.
What's all this about? Is this one okay?
Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it.
A trump card?
The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely and the game is yours. That's all.
An ace. Where do I remember that card from?
Mr. Smith's hand had 3 aces, and Mr. Wright's 2. It is 5 aces in all. It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating, I swear to you.
The missing 5th ace. Wait, this blotch of red. Is this blood?
You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the deck and draw the truth. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it.
Oh.
Oh, she's adorable.
This bloodstained card is my trump card for finding the truth?
No, Apollo. We'll just ignore the fact that there's. Okay.
I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all meant. That girl. I'd seen her recently, but where? That's when I made the connection.
Oh.
Aww.
That's her That's his daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
Bloody ace added to the court record. Received from a mysterious girl. Could this be the missing 5th ace?
They gasp.
April 20th, 2:45 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 2.
Court will now reconvene. Defense Attorney Christophe Gavin, will you please take the stand? Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. The witness state his name and occupation.
Is this farce necessary, Your Honor?
Believe me, far stranger, things have gone in this courtroom.
Fine. I'll play along.
First, there is one thing we need to have made clear. How did you know about the secret behind the victim's hat?
By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald.
Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest in it.
Dun dun dun!
I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin.
Shit.
Mr. Right?
What do you think you're doing, right?
Wow, things sure look different from the other side. You know what I mean, Apollo? Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off, except for that one time.
That one time being the instant he was hit!
Oh!
When Mr. Wright returned from reporting the crime, the hat was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have had to been there in the hideout at the time of the crime.
In other words, I must be the real killer, is what you're trying to say.
Not bad, Apollo.
Mr. Gavin?
I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the court.
What?
Oh, I assure you, I had the noblest of intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Yet, I'm afraid in the current situation, I see little reason to hide anything. Very well. Allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night.
Finally, you may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in the events of that fateful night?
Witness testimony. That fateful night. The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout. It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead, as he appears in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that was not the best place for me to be at the time, so I left. That's when the call came from Wright.
So, you witnessed the murder?
For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed.
Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you are on Mr. Wright's defense team? Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client. Oh!
What else could I say? I'm standing on the witness stand after all.
So you are, Mr. Gavin. And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window.
Mr. Wright?
You had to say that. Because that was the only probable window of opportunity. Right, Apollo?
I get it. Window of opportunity.
Oh.
Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared?
Yes, Your Honor. I can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. This trial is getting weirder and weirder.
Cross-examination.
Dun-dun-dun.
Alright. So how are we feeling?
Press all the things.
Yeah, we gotta press everything.
All the things?
Obviously.
Okay, all the things it is. The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club.
That man? You mean Mr. Smith?
He was different from the other customers. His aura, shall we say. I knew he was a serious poker player, but it was more than that.
So then, you knew the true nature of your client's job?
Of course. But I also knew he wasn't engaged in gambling, which would be illegal.
Well, it makes sense that he'd know. They were friends after all.
Worried for my friend, I returned to the club. You see, I feared this Mr. Smith might be someone coming to settle an old score.
I see. What happened then?
I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout.
The little window? You mean the one used to keep watch up the stairs?
Yes, a relic of the ancient past. The Black Marketeers used it, I believe.
Why did you go through the trouble of peeking in through the window? Wouldn't it have been easier just to open the door and go into the room?
I didn't want to upset Wright, you see.
Upset Mr. Wright?
Yes. What if my fears had been unfounded? I'd be walking in on their match. Bad form, to say the least.
So far, everything he's saying makes sense.
It must have been right after the murder took place.
How do you know it was right after the murder?
Really, no need to shout, Justice. I was just getting to that part in my testimony.
Ah, there he is. The coolest defense in the West we know and love. Even when you're standing up there on the witness stand, some things never change.
I was afraid you'd change too, right? But you haven't. You and that overbearing personality of yours.
With friends like these, who needs enemies?
The victim was dead, as he appears in the photo.
By photo, you mean the second photograph of the crime scene?
Precisely. You see, he wasn't wearing his hat then. I saw his head when he was dead.
And then Mr. Wright came along and replaced his hat.
Can you describe the scene of the crime for us?
A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand.
Those were the only three at the scene of the crime?
Yes, as far as I saw at least.
Then we're back to where we started. The killer was the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Who else could have been? But why didn't you talk to the police?
2 reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment of the crime. Second, my office was asked to defend Wright. Even after seeing what I had seen, I couldn't abandon my friend.
There must have been someone else there at the moment of the crime!
Justice. I just said I saw no one, not a soul.
But that goes against what Mr. Wright said!
Ah, yes, this mysterious 4th person. Who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose.
Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin.
Let me pose a question, then. Tell me, what possible reason did the real killer have to swap cards in the victim's hand? Perhaps you can show us a reason why such a thing would be necessary.
How can I show something I can't find myself?
Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped out was the 5th ace.
The 5th ace. Right.
Well, Mr. Justice, the question of why the killer would swap a card out has been raised. Can you point to a reason?
How we feeling?
I'm guessing it's
blood
the
on
5th
it,
card?
right?
Yeah,
The
because it has
card,
blood on it.
Yeah.
His daughter.
It's now or never. The defense would like to present evidence to the court. Evidence showing the reason why a card was swapped out.
Then go ahead and point out your reason, Mr. Justice. Why did the killer take the fifth ace?
Your Honor, you simply weren't there.
Can we examine it first? Or we won't let it? Okay.
My reason is, this!
Is that an ace?
Why? Why? It's got blood on it! Right next to the spade.
Okay.
What?
This is insane. Why wasn't I told about this? Why?
Could this be? Could this be the missing fifth ace?
Inconceivable. How could you? What are you doing with that card?
Well, that's the thing. Why is Mr. Gavin so upset? It's just a fishy card from some fishy girl.
Oh, that card? It's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Borscht Bowl Club that night after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards are her stock in trade, after all.
No. Impossible. Unacceptable. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud.
A fraud? How can you be so sure?
What?
I would think that the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer.
Mm-hmm.
Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason?
The reason for...
For the killer to take the card from the scene of the crime.
Where are you going with this?
Another look at the photo. And at the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his head fell onto the floor, and a trickle of blood ran from his forehead down the back of his head. Couldn't a drop of that blood have fallen on one of the cards? I suppose. Oh,
Oh, sorry. I suppose.
the killer then took the card and hid the blood.
Regardless, that evidence is non-permissible.
Oh?
Right. Regardless of how you wasted the last 7 years, you used to be a lawyer. You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence.
Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question.
What are you talking about?
You wanted to know why the killer would have taken a card from the crime scene. And now I've told you. That one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence, you see.
This is baseless conjecture. Baseless!
Oh, I assure you, it's quite based.
Damn.
Damn.
What?
It's amazing, really. How a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. It's quite simple. Well, Apollo?
Yes?
Try picturing the scene of the crime. In your head.
Alright, DS time.
Ooh.
This is when they start getting really cool. Because they said 3D
Whoa.
models in Ace Attorney.
This is new. The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table. And, before the killer swapped a card out, there was a single card with a drop of blood on it in the victim's hand. Given this, there is one decisive problem with this scene.
Oh, what is it?
Let's keep it simple, shall we? Given that there was a drop of blood on a card, whose position in this diagram doesn't fit? The victims? The killers? The witnesses? The second witnesses? Whose position doesn't fit with the bloody card?
Whose is it? Whose position now does not fit?
Oh shit.
Siri, do you remember?
So
No.
Not you, Siri. Shut the fuck up.
Oh.
Well, because if the victim was there,
Anybody else?
bleeding behind, I don't know.
I would think, I don't know, honestly. I don't remember this, but wouldn't it be like kind of, I would think it'd be like towards like the window or somewhere like they were about to get away. Maybe, I don't know.
The only way out of this room
can't-
is through this door.
See the card.
And look at the window over at number 2, the window right there.
Number
Someone
2
could
is
be
essentially
seeing-
where Christoph Gavin was standing. He was watching
Yes.
from afar.
So it could have been.
Killer is where Mr. Wright was sitting. The witness here is, of course, Olga
Wait.
O'Reilly. And the victim here is Mr. Smith, Shady Smith.
Is it possible that he could have been swapped?
yeah, maybe the victim wasn't sitting there and he couldn't have seen his bald head or something. I don't know.
Right.
That's the thing, right? Because
The
then
victim is sitting there. How would the blood have gotten?
in this story that we've been told, the victim got upset at Wright, checked him, so he walked over here, and then he knocked out the witness. Wright is saying that he left the room at this point in time, which then leaves this guy kind of in a bit of a sticky situation, but all this guy has to do is leave. However, Christoph is saying that's not what happened. Christoph is saying what happened is that the witness is out, which probably means that he agrees with this. The victim came over and knocked out the witness. And then Wright came over and killed him. So then Wright must have been standing somewhere around here in that case.
I don't think.
But Christoph is saying he wasn't? Like,
Christoph
Why
is
did
just saying
the
that he was
game
standing
place
here
the
the
killer
whole
there?
time, and then seeing Wright in the moment of killing, he leaves. This then causes Wright to leave the room.
or like right after.
And then call him. But here's the issue that's now being brought up. There's a bloody card on the table. But that card was taken away. Why was it taken away? There's somebody
Because the
there's somebody
killer-
positioned
was it-
here that
was
is
it-
incorrect.
Is it the killer's blood on the card? Like they cut their hand on something?
That's a really good question.
No,
I don't
didn't.
get-
why
didn't
would they
somebody
take
say he shoved?
Why would they take a random bloody card though? That's my question.
And not
I know
only
it's
that,
not
Yeah,
but
I'm like, if it
it's-
was the
it's
killer's
the
blood,
fifth ace.
then it is not stopping anybody.
Because like you got it's also the fifth ace. Because you got to remember, we didn't think cheating was afoot when we looked at the cards.
But it was. Somebody didn't want their.
Somebody took that
Technically
took
cheating.
that fifth ace. It had a red back and replaced it with a king with a blue back by accident because they did
The
not
thing
know
is,
the game.
right?
So the witness. No?
There's a lot of thinking to be done here. So let's.
I don't
Wait,
even
is
know
this
how I
about the
passed
whole
the bar,
red and
man.
they just put me in the sand. Either way, we need to point to one of these four people, and we have 5 chances of getting it wrong. So you know. We can just keep pointing until we get it right.
Let's go for majority vote. Who thinks it's the victim who's in the wrong place?
I mean, it kind of looks like maybe the victim could have been placed there. He was killed somewhere else in the room, but there was no blood anywhere else, is what I was wondering. I'm like, huh. They couldn't have just cleaned it up immediately.
There's just like a tiny trickle
Wait.
of blood on just the card.
You're getting on the right
Wasn't
track.
the fifth ace the one that was hidden? Wasn't the fifth
Wait,
ace the
hold
one
on.
that was hidden
Yes.
in the bottle?
No.
So
We did not.
No, that
The-
was
the fifth-
five.
the
The five
fifth-
was hidden in the.
Yeah. She's
The
got
five of clubs or whatever was hidden. Or
five of hearts. Yeah, the five of hearts was hidden in the bottle, but when we
Heart.
checked the murder weapon, it wasn't there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was a different. Oh, so it wasn't the bottle on the table. It was he brought in a different bottle.
That is very interesting
I
that you
don't
point that
know.
out. Now, here's something else. You were on the right track with the blood. Somebody said there was no other forms of blood in the room. Where are the only forms of
Eris.
blood in the room, Eris?
Ooh, honestly, like
The forehead.
The
the
forehead.
the head, his head.
Just on the victim.
hmm
Yeah.
This is what the game is now asking us currently. We have found blood on a card, but with the way the victim is sitting, the victim is incorrect. Why?
hmm
Where are the cards? And how is the victim facing? Where did the
Oh,
where did the blood run?
table.
So he was
Behind his
slumped over-
head.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he victim. Okay.
Yeah. Well, isn't the victim's position that's the problem?
I don't follow your logic here, Mr. Justice.
Well, look. The victim was struck in the head, sending him back in his chair. You'd think that any blood would fall behind the body, not onto the table in front of him. Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, then blood would fall on the floor, not on the cards.
Why, that's right. So what does this mean?
Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs.
Swivel chairs? Oh man.
That's my favorite type of chair.
Right?
Paula, try turning the chair around.
It was way
The
cooler
chair
on,
was
on the
facing the
DS.
other way.
It was way cooler on the DS, I swear, because you actually had to like turn the chair.
It would have to be. So, we have to assume that at the time of the murder, the victim's chair was facing away from the table.
When Mr. Wright returned from informing the police, which way was the chair facing?
When I came back to the room, the body was facing as seen in this photo.
That would mean the killer turned the chair back around.
Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We know that the victim was facing away from the table at the time of the murder. But this creates another significant contradiction.
Again?
Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Apollo, whose location in this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The victims, the killers, the witnesses, the second witnesses? Whose location creates a contradiction if the victim was in that spot?
Was facing away.
The killers?
Ah, very.
It's got to be the killer.
Very
I
smart.
was
Because
gonna reach
after
him.
all, yeah. How would you then strike him from the front?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But nobody said the killer is like sitting there when I don't know.
Ex-
This seems like a weird assumption to make.
The victim was struck from the front, correct?
Well, after all, you got to ask, how did the blood get on the cards then? The victim had to be facing
Very
away from
true.
the table.
Yeah. Because there was no blood on the table.
My
Mhm.
reasoning was there was cards on the floor.
Although that does ask a good question because I forget who brought it up. It does look like the body was placed there, right? Like
That was, I think I've said something
Mhm.
about that.
where it's all like, yeah, you could definitely have placed
Mhm.
that body there. But we're just going with the information the game has given us right now. They didn't say that it looked like the body has been moved. So we'll just assume that that the
Okay,
victim
fair.
was in the
Mhm.
chair the whole time.
Indeed.
Well, wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front? Sitting where his indicator currently is?
Nah, it's fine. If Wright was the killer, he's in a fighting game, so he could do whatever the fuck he wants. Just throw the bottle and hit him from the front somehow.
I would think it'd be quite hard. Yes.
Yes, but what are you saying? Makes no sense. Why would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall in the middle of the game?
I believe a sufficient reason will soon come to light.
What? What?
There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense, actually. Look again at the diagram. Apollo, if the victim was struck while he was sitting as shown here, where would his assailant be standing? Try marking it on the diagram.
What? But... There's no room to put a mark where the killer should be.
And the killer. Don't worry. Let's think it through and see what we find. We know that the victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would the killer have to be standing to strike our victim from the front?
Wouldn't it be from like
I-
the side-ish, or maybe from like
Right
I
on the
here?
feel
sides?
like they're making. I feel like they're telling us it would be right in front of him, but I feel like if you're to the side, you could swing with your arm. So like, I feel like that's
Yeah,
what
like
they're
right
trying
here?
to get us to. But I could
Well,
be
they're
wrong.
in
Yeah,
swivel
I feel like that's
chairs.
where you could be standing.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but if you're right here, you would just swing with your right arm into his head. Like that feels fine to me. But I feel like that's not what the game is getting at.
Correct.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
He was
Wait,
he
like,
was
I think
struck
they
from
want
the
you to
front in
say-
this case.
Where the closet is.
Where this is? What does everybody think?
Honestly, this seems less comfortable.
You think Siri's wrong?
I mean,
I
She's
feel
only
like they're
played this
being
game
too
once. She
To an extent. I don't remember this. I just remember the killer. That's it.
that man's
But
definitely
I
in
feel
the
like that's what they're
closet.
trying to get at.
trapped in the closet.
Because he said, "Don't think about anything else." He said, "Where would the killer have to be standing?"
He said, "Turn off your brain." Yeah. I guess in the closet, but I also agree he could have just stood to the side and swung. Like that's my reasoning to it
It
as well.
feels a lot more comfortable to swing from the side. I'll be honest, like a bat.
Yeah.
And
Right.
from the front, but
But
I
I
feel
feel there
like-
wasn't a closet behind him though. That was like a cabinet.
or a cabinet. Yeah, the same thing. I said it wrong.
That's actually a really good point. It is a cabinet, by the way. Can I bring up the court record? No, I cannot. In the picture, it is a cabinet. It is full of china, so it has shelves in it. Somebody can't fit in there.
So right, so it would
It-
have to be from the side.
Yeah, there wasn't any broken glass on the ground anyway, so like I
Nope.
didn't even see that. So he couldn't have been
I was
struck
thinking more
that
like
way.
a swinging bookshelf, like a
Oh,
secret passage, but that works. Let's try side.
right here.
Let's try side.
Yeah, side.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the killer would have to be here.
Hmm.
Oh shit.
Anything to say, Mr. Justice?
Sorry.
A little late for that, I'm afraid. Penalty.
Damn it. Come on, give me a
First
little
one.
hint.
Try not to overthink things, Apollo. What does your instinct tell you?
Get the fuck out.
We know the victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would
Who
the
am I?
killer have to be standing to strike our victim from the front? I think it's
Okay,
the
so-
cabinet, then.
Hmm.
It was highlighted. Forget everything else was highlighted. I don't know.
Well, remember they're in swivel chairs, so they could have always struck him from the front and then just turned the
Right.
chair.
That
No,
could be true.
he said specifically we just decided that we know he was facing toward the wall. He like that was given as a given and everything else is secondary. Like
But this-
we know
this
he was
was
swiveled this way.
In the middle of the game, right? He just turned around.
We don't know when or how. Like, but Phoenix said, forget about everything else. The only thing we know is that he was facing the wall. So,
His
like, his
legs?
position, I think, is the one thing that's incontrovertible. So I still think it was the cabinet.
Okay. Well, that's the only thing I can think of.
Because he's being like, I don't know.
But
If you
he's
guys feel
clearly
like
right
he's
in
being
front of
cagey,
him.
he's all like, forget about everything else. So
Right.
I don't know.
I honestly don't
I mean, if we want to go with the cabinet, we can, but I don't know.
we do have 4 more chances.
Correct.
All right. So fuck
I don't
it.
like
I'll
that.
go with the cabinet. Sit down.
The killer had to be standing. Well, here.
Ooh.
You get points for that layer, but that's about all you get.
Nice try.
Look, I thought I was onto something there too.
I hardly need to point out that standing there would be impossible. The victim is facing a solid cupboard. Or are you claiming the killer climbed the cupboard and hit him from above? Ha!
It's simple logic, really. If this was the only place the killer could have been standing,
Hey, Nadia.
Narnia!
hey,
Nadia.
then that means that at the very moment of the crime,
Wait, I know! At the moment of the crime, the cupboard wasn't there!
What's this now?
I mean, that's the only explanation, right, Mr. Gavin? Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard in the hideout immediately.
Bailiff, send a team to the crime scene immediately. Have them try to move the cupboard.
Your Honor?
What?
There's one more thing your men should look for. Please give this to the bailiff.
Yes, I see. You do belong in the courtroom after all, Mr. Wright.
I do my best.
Gasp.
But let's forge ahead here while we wait.
Put those on.
Look at the diagram once again. It's been changed.
Oh my god.
Oh my
been
god, what the
changed.
fuck?
The number one.
Phoenix.
Kiddo strikes again. Oh, if the killer was standing here at the time of the crime, sorry. Then this cupboard wasn't here, which means Apollo, try moving the cupboard.
Okay.
Shoot.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I guess. I'll just use the force real quick.
See. As you can see, the cupboard was the problem. At the time of the murder, it has to have been shown here.
Yeah.
Now everything is in place to reconstruct the moment of the crime. Oh my.
Hey, Wald.
What's this?
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
What's this now?
look at the diagram of the crime scene once more. It appears we found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact.
Huh? Oh, dang!
Notice something, Apollo?
Oh, dang.
Our line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion.
Order! Now then, Mr. Justice, please point to the new contradicting indicator. Is it the victim, the killer, the witness, the second witness? Which indicator in this diagram contradicts we know about the crime?
Your Honor, frankly, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Oh,
I mean, it's
do
the
it.
window. The window's
The
blocked.
window, yeah.
Yeah, the window's blocked.
Window,
Yeah.
The
yeah.
second story window. High, low, low, high.
This is so complicated. Unnecessarily.
About this cupboard. Are we all okay with assuming it was moved?
Sure, why not?
Ah, yes.
Okay.
The most
He's
professional
a murderer.
response. Sure,
Why am I getting legal advice from Hobo? Well, if it was, something really doesn't fit.
Yes!
The cupboard would completely cover up the window to the stairs!
Yes! Okay, bye, Miles.
Ah!
A puppet.
That's right! Someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin!
What? What did you say?
Oh? Is the coolest defense in the West losing his cool?
Don't expect me to play along with your little game, right?
It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window to that room was blocked by a cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the court. Exactly where did you witness the crime scene from?
Nee, voice this guy.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Order! This is the court of law. I will have order!
We just now received word from our investigative team at the Borch Bowl Club. They've examined the cupboard in the hideout, Your Honor.
Oh? And what did they find?
Well, Your Honor, it turns out there is a secret passage behind it.
What?
Yes, I believe I mentioned something of the sort before.
No, you didn't.
This is one of the tricks to the room many of our regulars know about.
I do remember him saying something about that, now that he mentions it.
Oh. Sorry, Xander. Yeah, it was in the time before you arrived.
Oh, you're good. I thought he was just... Listen, he's pulled so much stuff out of his butt, I don't know if this was another one.
Well, our Phoenix Wright is a master at bluffing, so we'll never know.
A secret passage is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in illegal goings-on.
Like murder.
Never know when you might need to duck away from the eyes of the law.
Apollo?
So the room has a secret passage. Where does it go?
Bye, Nadia.
The other side connects to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops. And enjoy a cold bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. You see where our line of simple deductive reasoning has led us, Apollo?
Simple.
None of that was linear at all.
I see it, but I don't believe it. That girl wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. At the time of the murder, the window was blocked, and the victim's hat was only off his head for the few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder and Mr. Wright's return from calling the cops. In other words, the only place anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was from inside the hideout! Well, Mr. Gavin, come on, say something.
Dare I ask what really happened that night?
Actually, I think we can probably figure it out ourselves at this point. That night, for whatever reason, our killer had a date with Mr. Smith. A date with destiny. There he crouched, hidden in the secret passage behind the cupboard. Holding his breath, waiting for just the right moment. Then the chance came, and he took it!
This is Phoenix.
What? Why did you do that? Wait here, I'll get help.
Mrs. Olga Early was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith. But this time was soon to come. Mr. Wright went upstairs to call the cops, leaving Mr. Shady Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. Then, our killer stepped out from the secret passage and into the hideout.
The victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside.
He wheeled his chair around to look, and
After the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card. He would have, of course, realized the need to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime.
too bad for him he didn't linger any longer in the hideout that night. If he had, he might have noticed the cards on the floor. And the fact that they were all red!
Order! Well, it seems this trial has taken another turn. I'm truly sorry it had to come to this day. This day had to come, Mr. Gavin.
Mr. Gavin?
Mr. Payne!
Here! Yes, Your Honor?
The prosecution will continue its investigation. As for Phoenix Wright, the defendant, he is hereby cleared of all suspicion. Believe me when I say that. I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin. But I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest immediately.
Oh, no need to apologize. I rather enjoyed myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirty tactics firsthand.
Your point, Mr. Gavin?
Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked that a person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick.
Excuse me?
The defendant is cleared of all suspicion. This is hardly the time for jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he has done is use illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. And not just anyone else, but me, his own defense attorney.
Illegal evidence?
Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin. Is there still any reason at present to suspect me of wrongdoing?
Of course. This bottle, for instance.
Bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking.
How do you intend to explain away the fingerprints on the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne?
Actually, yes. The fingerprints on the bottle were, upside down.
Seem to recall this being an issue earlier.
The court, and this case, demand an explanation. I can think of only one reason why one would hold a bottle upside down. And that is to hit someone with the bottom of the bottle. Well, Your Honor.
Ah. See how the codfish squirms to the last. Well, Apollo?
Yes?
Your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still. But I'm sure you can come up with a suitable explanation. Just like that.
Yeah. Just like what? Why would anyone grab a bottle upside down other than to...
Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is the only legitimate one.
Is there really another?
Take another look at the court record. I believe you'll find a simple answer there, in plain sight.
Then why don't you tell me? How about you just say the answer in plain words?
Order! It would be hasty to deliver a verdict without unanswered questions, indeed. Well, Mr. Justice?
Mr. Gavin said that the court, in this case, demand an explanation. Don't worry. Justice won't leave until justice is done!
Perhaps the defense would care to enlighten the court? What evidence do you have to explain why the fingerprints on the bottle are upside down?
Well, you see, if you open your eyes...
So they said check the court, the report.
The autopsy report?
The autopsy
Maybe?
report? Okay.
Maybe?
Victim's name, Shady Smith. We don't know his age. Male. Time of death, April 17th, between 1:45 in the morning and 2:15 in the morning. Cause of death, cerebral hemorrhaging resulting from blunt trauma to forehead.
So what exactly are we trying to prove?
We are trying to
Why
prove...
he would hold the bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Why would he hold the bottle upside down?
Yeah, true.
Can we see the picture when they're talking upstairs?
This one?
Yes. If he just grabbed a bottle to drink, would he grab it upside down? If he
No.
just reached out, he would.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, wait.
So just grab maybe this one?
Yeah, you grab a bottle. You grab it from
drink.
the top.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not the
'Cause they were
right
below
bottle
him.
because he put a. It's the only one I can think of, but it's also the wrong.
No, because remember, there's the bottle here too, which means he had a bottle next to him the whole time.
The victim, they both had a bottle,
And
maybe,
it's on that side now.
but it's not the same one because Phoenix put his 5 in there.
And the victim's fingerprints weren't on it neither. If it was to line up with the story that Phoenix told, Shady Smith would have picked up that bottle first and hit Olga with it.
Right.
Oh, you're right, and that's not the right bottle. Somebody would have been holding a bottle to come in from the secret passage and kill.
Oh
And
shit!
then they would have taken the real bottle with him, and he'd prepared. Yeah, and maybe just because he was drinking. The only thing I could think of is the photo upstairs.
Yo,
Oh,
5
shit,
minutes left.
55 minutes.
5 minutes left on the recording. Oh shit! What should I present?
I think the only thing that even has bottles in it is that photo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's multiple bottles in that one compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
It's actually easier to show you than explain, Your Honor. Place that bottle on the floor next to your chair.
Excuse me? On the floor?
Yes, now reach down and pick it up. Without getting out of your chair.
Ah,
See? You naturally go to pick up the bottle by its neck. With your fingers upside down! Look, at this photograph taken on the night of the murder. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here, playing piano. Bottles of grape juice on the floor to be the side of his piano bench. He would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times.
Wow, I cannot believe it was that simple.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Can't believe you're that dumb.
Recall our dinner that evening, Christoph. I was drinking my usual juice then, too. How much does this guy drink? Holy shit.
Basically, you use the bottle on the table to do the deed. But then you must have remembered. So you went and picked up one of the bottles from under the piano. And you switched the bottles! You took one of Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon!
Yes. Order! 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 What do you have to say for these charges, Mr. Gavin?
Fascinating. So this is the legendary attorney's famed tactic of misdirection.
What?
You claim that I switched the bottle. Where's your proof?
Proof? Well, that's,
As I thought, more baseless conjecture. I'm afraid your bottle of proof is quite empty.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor. When you initiated the investigation of the hideout earlier, do you recall I requested an additional investigation?
Oh, yes. I have your memo about that here. Retrieve the bottles from under the piano at the Borscht Bowl Club. And here's one of the bottles in question.
What? Are you gonna dust that for fingerprints too? I would be surprised if any were on that but his.
Mr. Gavin probably wouldn't make such a novice mistake. True. That bottle won't bear a trace of anything.
but the number 5.
Hey, Apollo.
Yes?
Why don't you go ahead and examine the bottle?
But why?
Just humor me.
Alright, man. Mr. Wright.
That bottle will solve this case once and for all. Why don't we save?
What?
Probably should before.
What is your problem?
Okay, I'll
So I'm going
stop
to
the
assume
recording here.
everyone knows what's inside the bottle.
The 5, right?
That's a pretty
Right.
good assumption.
Yeah.
Okay, I need somebody to respond to me now.
Hello.
Hi.
Responding.
Excellent.
Moves.
That sounds great. Look at that. Oh my god. That's perfect. I did press record, right? Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's some bottle.
Well, well.
Oh.
It's the 5. Zoom
And
in.
it's got the cap on too.
There's something inside the bottle.
It's my lucky day. It's a treasure map.
What's this?
That card. It can't be.
Recall that unpleasant woman's testimony for a moment.
Oh, Siri, don't talk to yourself like that.
Mrs. Olga Early?
Yes, our little swindling девочка. That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to. And Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed.
Wait, this isn't... You're telling me that this is the planted card you disposed of? The one you mentioned in this piece of the testimony.
I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of Hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of it before the game.
Disposed? Where?
There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. The 5 of Hearts. This is the card. The bottles are swapped. And the only one who could have done that was the 4th person in the club that night. You, Mr. Christoph Gavin.
Oh shit.
Oh damn. Oh damn.
What the fuck?
What's up with the lock?
It's the
He's a
bowl.
Sith.
Ooh.
That is all.
Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright?
Revenge?
Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago.
My past is like my logic, straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper direction.
Fine. I'm glad we could have this little tete-a-tete, right?
This is insane. What about me? Don't I get to prosecute anyone?
Odar, I believe this time we've finally come to the end of our trial. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us on Christoph Gavin?
He's admitted everything. We're processing his arrest now.
I see. Still, one has to wonder why he would do such a thing. He didn't even have a connection to the victim, did he?
None that we know of.
Mr. Wright, have you anything to add?
I'm afraid I can't shed any more light on the matter.
About this victim, Mr. Shady Smith. His occupation was listed as traveler. An odd profession to be sure, and that's all we know about him.
I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor.
Good. Mr. Wright?
Yes.
7 years ago, and you still haven't lost your touch.
Christoph Gavin was a man with much significance for me. Both as a friend and a lawyer.
He was extremely talented, to be sure.
I needed two things before I could confront him. The first was a place where no injustice would be tolerated. This courtroom. The second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney. You, Apollo.
Me?
This is a dark time for our legal system. A twisting of justice brought by our very own initial trial system. We have to set it right.
Mr. Wright.
Our work lies ahead of us, and I, for one, am looking forward to it.
Order. Well then, it seems like a good time to announce a verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
And you can say this out loud to Eris when you see it on screen.
Okay. Not guilty.
Yay!
You have confetti in the flipping courtroom?
Hell yeah!
All right. Order. Order. Court is adjourned.
There's one guy on the sidelines just cutting up little paper squares.
April 20th, 4:28 p.m. District
420.
Court. Defendant lobby number 3.
Thanks, Apollo. You came through, just like I thought you would.
I'm pretty sure I didn't do a thing in there. It was you who cornered the killer.
I couldn't have done it by myself. You sensed it too today, didn't you? Your ability?
Ability?
Yes. A sensitivity I lack. You'll come to understand it soon enough.
Wait, I wonder if he means... I have one question for the witness, then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true?
True. Oh, I said that.
It's okay.
What's this weird vibe I'm getting? What was that, Mr. Wright?
You'll have to find the answer to that question yourself.
The answer. Right. Today was full of questions without answers. Most of them about Mr. Gavin.
What possible reason could he have had to commit murder? Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come.
Huh? Oh, wait. You don't know? Do you?
This locket is the key.
Huh? Oh, that reminds me. I met the girl whose picture is in your locket. Your daughter, right?
That's right. She's my daughter. You know, you were right about this locket.
Huh?
I took this off his neck the night he died.
I knew it.
But it looks like our dear Russian scam artist saw me. So the truth is, this locket really did belong to him.
Wait, but that's perjury!
Yeah, but in the Ace Attorney universe, nobody gets charged for perjuries.
No, he never said. All he said is that's his daughter. He never said, I didn't take it. All he
Whose
said
daughter?
Still-
Is it
Phoenix's.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He did not say that he took the locket off. He just said that the picture inside is of his daughter, and Mr. Payne backed him up.
Yeah, and it's true. He did adopt her, and they knew that. So it's totally, yeah. Yeah, they talked about that.
You testified! You said that locket was yours!
That, though,
I said no such thing, actually.
there you go.
Huh?
I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but a distinction nonetheless. And it's the truth.
Wait, but then... Why? Why was the victim wearing a locket with a picture of your daughter inside it?
Sometimes the straightest path to the truth isn't the best one. Give it time. You're still just getting started with your career.
Speaking of which, I may be out of a job. I work at Gavin Law Offices after all. I still can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs.
Apollo,
Yes?
how about coming to work for me?
Uh-huh? You mean at the Wright & Co. Law Offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know it!
I can't imagine that to be true, but
Wait, but didn't you... You're not a...
oh, I turned in my badge, yes. I'm not an attorney anymore.
That incident 7 years ago. That legendary trial. And at the middle of it all was one man, Phoenix Wright. The case reached its sad conclusion, and he left law for good. Have you ever thought about coming back to the courts?
I'm not qualified to stand in a court of law, I'm afraid. Didn't you notice in today's trial? There was a single piece of forged evidence.
Forged evidence? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the evidence that shouldn't have existed. A naughty magician's trick.
One piece of evidence struck me as odd. It's true. It just seemed, well, too perfect. I'll bet this was the forged evidence. Clearly it's the attorney badge.
Yeah.
And everybody was following. What's the forged piece of evidence? There's there's nothing bad if you get this wrong.
No, but I want to know.
I'm pretty sure it's the card.
It's got to be the card that
Yeah, it has to be the bloody card.
Well, I
sure
mean,
that was
you
forged.
can tell from what he said, a dirty magician's trick. So I would assume.
Not only that, but in the
Yeah,
It's
because he
true,
gave
in
it.
the trial,
Because how did the story
in the
go, right? And that they set up,
Mhm.
the killer took this. Why would
yeah,
suddenly somebody else have this?
in the trial, Mr. Gavin said that's forged evidence. He
Yeah.
said
It's
it was
like a
forged.
copy.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah,
And Phoenix responded
Because he
with, the only
destroyed the real
person that
one.
could say it was a fraud is the person who took it away. Yeah, very smart.
Okay.
Oh.
You mean this, don't you? I got this from your daughter, Mr. Wright.
Yes. That card couldn't have been found at the crime scene. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left, leaving the wrong card in its place. Luckily for us.
The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud.
A fraud? How can you be so sure? I would think that the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer. My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago.
Then, you really...
Yes, I forged this card. One look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real.
But you can't do something like that and call yourself an attorney!
Who's calling themselves an attorney, Apollo?
So it's true. The rumor is true! 7 years ago.
None of that matters much now, does it?
Girl! punched him.
It's your story from here on out, Apollo. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office's address. Drop in if you like.
Oh wow, I can actually read Phoenix Wright on it now.
Mr. Wright.
Oh, about your uppercut. Try yelling, "Take that," next time. I find it packs a little more punch. And Apollo, thanks for today. I had a good time.
Walks away with a
Dun,
sore
dun,
jaw.
Okay, I'm sorry, but can we talk about that picture of the judge in the background?
Yeah, exactly.
Straight up, like, that artistic rendition.
And with that, Mr. Wright walked out the door. And that's how my first trial ended. A lot of mysteries went unsolved. And at the time, I had no idea where they all led. Wait, idea they were all related. Whoops. Every mystery that day connected by a single thread of logic. I'd find that out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law, and this is how my story begins.
And that was case 1.
Oh wow!
Turnabout
through
Trump.
it.
All right. How'd y'all feel about that?
We did it.
That
It was great.
cool.
That was awesome.
Oh, dang! It's
Yeah, I'm
getting
not.
another case before this one. Then the third case is where I get to do that. Oh man!
So close.
All right. How's everybody feeling?
Good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Excellent.
I'll be right back real
Wait
quick,
for
though.
next time to start the
Yeah.
new one so that Shay can be back and we can get different roles and all that fun stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Time to start thinking about who the fuck is going to get what, damn it.
Yep.
All
You're gonna have to
Yes.
divide it all up.
Hell yeah.
The recording is ending now. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye,
Goodbye, everyone.
everyone.
Goodbye.